Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be talking about a rare snow event that's about to ramp up across parts of the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and even parts of the Southeast United States. This will not necessarily bring a lot of snow, but it will bring some rare snow to parts of the United States that just don't see snow very often. Also, we'll be talking about a large cold blast that's on the horizon that'll be bringing a large cool down to much of the United States as we go into January. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, and let's begin first with what's happening across the United States today, and we'll begin with this storm that's been pretty rare overall. We've been watching this system for the last several days. It brought a blizzard to parts of the central and northern plains back into Nebraska, even northern Kansas and South Dakota saw those impacts a few days ago. Now, this has been a very slow-moving low-pressure system. It's actually been one of the slowest low-pressure systems that I think we've seen all year long, and as it continues to move very slowly here to the east, it is going to bring a little bit of snowfall to areas like Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, areas in the southeast. Again, going to see a bit of a rare snow event there. And then further off to the north, we've actually been seeing accumulation in states like Illinois, Wisconsin, and Missouri today, and I am expecting more accumulation tonight for those areas, and that'll lead to, again, some more snowfall for tonight. And then back over in the northeast United States, that's the area that's up next for this system. We are expecting at least some snowfall up there. I'll be showing you more in detail who will be seeing snow here in just a few minutes. Again, the low pressure system is centered right now over Missouri and Illinois. Not really a whole lot being shown on the infrared imagery, since a lot of the activity that we have with this system is all really close to the surface, and the cloud tops are actually not that cold since these clouds are not really building up that high. That's why you can see here it's only a lot of green and blue here on the infrared imagery as of now. Back over on the East Coast, we have clouds that are rolling out of areas right along the East Coast in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. And then back over on the West Coast, a little bit of active weather ongoing in western parts of Washington and Oregon, and even upstate California. But overall, a lot of that activity is just a little bit of rainfall, and as well as some wind to accompany that. All right, let's talk more about the weather pattern that's coming to the United States, because things are going to change a lot over the upcoming weeks. As we go into January and into a new year, the weather has its own New Year resolution, and that is essentially colder weather for much of the United States. So let's first begin with what's happening now. So right now we have that low pressure system in the upper levels. This is an upper level disturbance that's ongoing in Missouri and Illinois. Now, as we go into the weekend, this system will start to finally move out of the United States, which again, it's been here for about 7 days now. So this is going to be moving out as we go into the weekend. Once we get closer to the second half of the weekend, we will be watching for a little clipper system to come out of Canada. This will bring some additional snowfall to areas near the Great Lakes. I don't think it's going to bring much accumulation, maybe some flurries to an inch, but it's something. If you want some snowfall, it will not be enough really for skiing though. Once we go into Sunday into Monday, notice this moves out to the east, so again, a quick moving trough. Once we go into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, that's when things become a lot more active here across the United States, and that is because El Nino is going to begin to ramp up. Notice this trough that's going to be located in the Four Corners states as we go into Tuesday of next week, and this is very typical for El Nino winters, where we have a lot more of these troughs coming out of parts of the Pacific Ocean, specifically west and southwest of California, and these basically ride along the southern plains. Sometimes they go up a little bit more to the north and east, and those can cause more of those ice storms and winter storms, but the more common trend is that we're going to be seeing multiple troughs basically riding along the southern plains into the southeast, and that'll create a colder than normal weather pattern, and it will also create a lot more rainfall and maybe even some snow to some areas in the southern tier of the United States. This is by Thursday into Friday of next week, which becomes much more uncertain what the weather will be by around the 5th or 6th of January. But you'll notice the European model is on trend with the subtropical jet stream being pretty strong in the southern tier of the United States and continuing to lead multiple troughs along its path, again stretching from California back into Florida. That'd be the area to watch for. Now, in terms of the future radar, a lot of things to talk about here. Again, right now we have that ongoing system across the Ohio Valley and as well as the southeast. I will be talking about this more in detail in about a minute, so make sure you stay tuned. Once we get closer to Saturday into Sunday, some snowfall in the northeast. We'll also be talking about that here in just a second. And then over here in the Midwest, that's what we're watching for going into Sunday morning. We'll have a little clipper system. This will bring some flurries to light snow as we go into Sunday. So again, really not really much. It's not going to cause any travel impacts for the most part, but it's something to look at basically if you're in the Midwest. Once we go into Monday into Tuesday, things dry out a little bit. A dominant ridge starts to build in across the Mississippi Valley, and then I think the weather gets gets a lot more active as we go into about the 3rd and 4th of January. What we'll be looking for, again, are these disturbances located in the southern tier of the United States, and these will have a better shot of bringing colder weather, some rain that could lead to even some isolated flooding, and maybe some isolated severe weather as these goes west to east. So that'll be something to watch for, again, as we go into Wednesday. And after Wednesday, things become a lot more uncertain, but make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we will keep you posted with the latest on the long-term weather forecasting. All right, let's go more into what's expected with this rare snow event that's been ongoing. Now, it's not really rare if you're in the Midwest or the Ohio Valley, but more specifically, we're going to be seeing some rare snowfall in the southeast United States. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. Let's begin with the Midwest, go to the Ohio Valley, then the southeast. This is beginning with this afternoon. Again, we're going to have some snow ongoing across parts of southern Wisconsin, back into Illinois and Iowa. This is a wet snow, so it's actually going to accumulate a bit faster than normal. So this will be something to watch for. Again, we'll be at least seeing a few inches of snow from Wisconsin back into Missouri over the next several hours. This is going closer to midnight tonight. Again, notice some snow still continuing across Wisconsin. It will not reach really anywhere in northern Wisconsin. It's primarily from central and southern Wisconsin and southward. And then back over in Ohio, we'll also have some light snow ongoing there overnight tonight. That probably will not lead to much accumulation though. By tomorrow morning, the snow moves down to the south. We're going to continue to see some light snow in southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and eventually into Kentucky, which might lead to some scattered accumulations in some areas. In terms of the snowfall totals here, well, overall, again, it's nothing crazy. We're talking about a coating to maybe a few inches if you're lucky. Highest snowfall totals will be in southwest Wisconsin, which a lot of this has already fallen, but what is still to come is obviously going to accumulate on top of that. Probably around 2 to 4 inches would be my best guess here if you're back across parts of southwest Wisconsin. Much of Illinois, you'll be lucky with a coating to an inch. There might be an isolated spot that picks up 2 inches of snow. And then further down to the south, a little bit of a different story. Overall, the snow is not going to be very heavy across Kentucky or Tennessee, and that also includes areas like West Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina. All these areas will basically only have some passing snow showers. A lot of this will be flurries, and at best, if you're a snow lover, there might be some light snowfall, but I think it'll be very light overall. This is primarily going to be during Friday afternoon into the evening hours. Notice even down into Alabama. This will primarily be on the northern side of Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi, is where we might see a little bit of snow trickle into those 3 states going into the late evening Friday into the overnight hours. Going into Saturday, we might still have some light snow flurries out there across Tennessee, Kentucky, and then back through Pennsylvania. But again, overall, a lot of this will be light, and I don't anticipate any accumulation, but it is still rare overall, especially even in December. We usually, if we do see any snow in these states, it's usually during January and as well as February. This is what we're looking at in terms of snowfall accumulation. I would honestly be shocked if we saw a coating in Alabama, but I wouldn't rule that out on elevated surfaces. Same thing goes for northern Georgia. Much of Tennessee and Kentucky, at best, again, a coating would be all I'm expecting there. And then in some of the elevations there in the Appalachian Mountains, you might get lucky with around an inch of snow. But again, that's best case scenario if you're looking forward to snowfall. Worst case scenario would obviously be 0 inches in that case. All right, talking about more about the Northeast, we're not going to be looking at any snow today, but going into tomorrow, we're going to begin to look at a little bit of a transition in the upstate New York area and western New York. Eventually, as we go into early Saturday morning, a little bit more snowfall starts to cover from Pennsylvania back into Maine. Might even see a little bit in the hills of western Massachusetts and southern Vermont. Overall, again, nothing crazy. This is not a winter storm by any means, but it's snow. And we're going to continue to see some snow here across areas like Maine. Best chance for actual accumulation will be in upstate Maine, where we'll be looking at around 2 to 4 inches of snow. Elsewhere, again, you're going to be lucky with a coating to maybe an inch of snow at best in other areas. And lastly, I did want to talk about the cold blast potential as we go into January. It is likely we're going to start to see more winter-like weather across the United States, because obviously over the last few weeks, it has not really felt like that in much of the country, with above average temperatures continuing. Now, here's the GFS model as we go further into January. So this is around the 6th to 7th. Again, it's still indicating above average temperatures for much of the country, but I think that will start to change as we get closer to mid-January. I think we're going to start to see some colder weather. Now, obviously, the GFS model being almost 350 hours out is definitely not going to be very accurate, but this would be a pretty good depiction of something that is likely to start to really impact the country as we get closer to the mid to later half of January. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel. We'll keep you posted with the latest on this. I will have a more detailed forecast, by the way, on this tomorrow. In terms of the temperature trends over the next 8 to 14 days, so from January 4th till January 10th, we are actually likely to see below average temperatures across much of the southern tier of the United States, which goes very well with El Nino, as this is a very typical El Nino pattern for this time of the year. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.